Everybody, and thank you for attending this webinar event. My name is Ian Schooler, and I'm Managing Director of the Materials Solutions Group, or TSMG for short. TSMG offer varied solutions across many sectors. Inside Out Solutions is a division in our company working within the construction and architectural sectors, covering both internal and external applications. Our products include wall decor cladding, hygienic cladding, glazing smart films, architectural glass films, underground heating, and external wrapping films called Facade. Wrapping Facade Film is what we will present today. The supplier of the Facade Film is Avery Dennison, a world leader in the manufacture of films. Our install partner is Universal Graphics, and it would be fair to say the leading architectural film installer in Ireland. The purpose of this webinar is to introduce the concept and benefits of wrapping architectural buildings. This is something much more prevalent in Europe, but not officially launched in Ireland. This webinar event supports the lead-in to the RIAI conference, which would be held next month in October. We will have a stand at the event specifically showcasing the wrap facade film. Today's market is more and more looking for sustainable solutions, and one aspect of wrapping a building when compared to solvent sprayed panels is the argument for a sustainable message. Solvents in itself is not so good, and where solvent paint solutions are used, they must be resprayed if the customer wants to maintain visual upkeep. Whereas facade film will offer color match consistency up to and above 10 years. When undertaken with a certified professional installer like Universal Graphics, it becomes an extremely clean and efficient process. At this point, I would like to introduce our guest speakers. Sandra Withalm, Product Manager at Avery Dennison. Sandra will give a product introduction and overview, including case studies. Martin Kelly, a Sales and Commercial Director at Universal Graphics. Martin will speak about the importance of the role of the certified fitter in the process. Just to remind you, this session will be recorded and forwarded to you at the end. I would like to encourage you to ask questions via the chat line, and there will be a Q&A session on conclusion. At this point, I would like to hand over to our guest speakers. First, Sandra Withalm, Product Manager at Avery Dennison.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Sandra Withalm. I'm the Product Manager for Architecture Products at our company at Avery Dennison Graphic Solutions. And today we talk about the facade film. As an introduction, I have a small video for you, and then I will give you an introduction about the product portfolio, the benefits, and their values. So I think the tone was missing, but I think the key benefits and points were already mentioned now in the video, but I would like to introduce to you the product itself in a little bit more detail. And I think key of the facade film when we introduced and developed this product was really to find a solution to transform buildings which were not up to date, not in a nice shape, or maybe even just because the corporate identity color of the company has changed, and they wanted to have a change and a makeover. So key products, key uses really in office buildings, commercial buildings, for retail, their hotels. This product was developed to find a solution to transform the building into another type of building without having a long downtime, long renovation period, or even removal of parts to refresh the building. So this was the key when we started to develop this product. Next slide. As we are targeting, so the main colors we have were really taken out of the building industry. So we have a standard color range in our portfolio, which is always available of stock. And there we talk about 9 standard colors. They are all aligned with the RAL color references. In 2 different thicknesses, we have 50 microns, which is a little bit thinner surface, which you can easier transform and apply on the slide conformable surfaces or frames, and a little bit thicker material when you have big claddings or something where you need a bit more stability of material, because sometimes the panels are quite big. The finishes are available in lustre and in gloss, so you can choose between different gloss levels. And as well, the easy apply technology, which is for the installer more important than it has no visible effect, but for the installer, and so-called easy apply technology helps to easier apply a self-adhesive film. Next. Here you can see as an example what you can do with it. For example, you have outdated frames. Maybe they are not looking nice anymore. Maybe they are faded, like for PVC, some plastic frames. You see sometimes that the sun and the color is then fading, and there is the possibility to do a refresh of the frames. And the durability of the material can be up to 10 years, so you can refresh the frame for a longer period of time. And here you see an example on the left-hand side. This is a frame, how it looked before. It was an aluminum frame. And then with the facade film, it's a metallic finish we have as well. It looks really very nice after application. It's another example. There you have the plastic frame where we did with a dark color or gray color, so it can be really aluminum, plastic, and very smooth surfaces where you can apply this. Other examples are more on building types of view, when you have, for example, bigger panels where you want to do a refresh. These are all case studies you can later on have a look on. We took just as an example for you what can be done. So you have really additional value for doors and claddings, and as well frames, as we had seen before. Another example is the next one, really from old make new. You see on the top really more the 70s looking building, or I don't know the time frame, but with the refresh they really did the complete facade was applied with facade film, and you completely had a complete different look afterwards. Here only parts of the building were renewed, and here again you have these claddings which have been changed, and you see on the next, I think on the next slide you see the no, it was another building. I'm sorry. This was already done, so that you saw only the outcome. And here you see parts of the building. You had this brown and reddish old style building, and with the facade film you gave it is a metallic kind of facade film has been applied on the window area and as well on the doorway, and really completely refreshed here the look of the building. And here I think as well on top they added some darker architectural window films. There you had as well the grayish, more modern look of the building in the end. Yeah, here we have added the example of you can see in your country. This is the building refresh we did together with our invitee. Now my English is a bit difficult. So the people who invited us, they've refreshed their building as well, and we did a case study out of this, because here you can really see a change of the building, how it was transformed. So there was really a need to rebuild the facade to look more professional and modern, as well to adjust to the corporate identity of the company. And here the colors and fonts were really chosen to fit to the brand and strictly put the building into a new shape. Here was sustainability the priority. It was a building which shouldn't have been renewed as such, but with a sustainable solution. We added as well here the solar window film. So here was a complete refit being done. And I think Ian could give additional information about what has been done in the whole building, because this was a big project, but Facade Film was really one of it, which has shown us what can you do with the building. There are some comments. Yeah. Okay. Here we have, you are now getting the sneak preview of our latest case study have been done. I think it might be still, so we did a little video, and I think it will be online soon, but you get the sneak preview of our latest project. This was a hotel chain who wanted to have a refit of their windows. And here you can see the video. I don't know if the tone is already there, but at least the pictures. If there's no tone, I will comment a little bit.
I'm gonna play it. If no tone, please just let me know.
Okay.
We staan hier voor het iconische Carlton Hotel in Spijkenisse. En we hebben hier zojuist een prachtige transformatie afgerond. We hebben de gevel en de kozijnen van het hele hotel voorzien van een nieuwe frisse look met een folie.
De kleur was hier na 33 jaar vergaan. Dus hebben we gekeken naar 2 oplossingen. Of schilderen of wrappen. En uiteindelijk hebben we voor de film gekozen. Wat de beste oplossing was voor dit hotel.
Je ziet met name dat veel gebouwen, panden en dergelijke toe zijn aan een renovatiebeurt. En dat dient op een kostenbesparende, duurzame, efficiënte manier gedaan te worden. En daar biedt de Avery Dennison Facade Film een uitstekende oplossing voor.
Dit is een folie die staat bekend om zijn extreme duurzaamheid. Daarnaast beschermt het de kozijnen tegen de elementen. En hij is heel makkelijk te verwerken vanwege de dikte. Dus ook bij wisselende temperaturen is hij nog eenvoudig aan te brengen.
Ik ben heel erg tevreden met het eindresultaat. Zie dat ook hierachter. Maar ook de hotelgasten die aankomen, ja, dat ze het eigenlijk een prachtig resultaat vinden.
Het heeft het hotel een nieuwe, frisse look gegeven, zonder dat er een hele grote verbouwing aan te pas is gekomen. Dus een hartstikke mooi project.
Yes, I think this is a great example of what can be done with Facade Film. As you have seen, really the color of the red was really outdated, and now you have a new color, and we give a 10 years durability of this to this building or to the facade, which was done, and it's really giving an additional benefit to the building. Okay. Here are some key facts about what Facade Film is. So it is mainly designed, it is a PVC film. It is mainly designed to be added on aluminium and plastic substrates. We go a little bit more detailed in the next slides. It has, it's already in the market for more than 15 years. It is designed really to stick on critical surfaces. So we developed a very strong adhesive, a strong surface, which is really resisting the weather conditions you have. I will finish just the slide. The downtime, and I think this is a key point as well. The downtime when you do a refit is quite short, because you don't need to paint, you don't need to shut down the building. You can just do it. Of course, if you work outside, the weather conditions have to be in a certain level, but you are quite flexible. You can start. You can even do your color match. So you have a unique color you want to use from 100 linear meters on. You can do a color match, or we could do a color match to the color you need. Based on the RAL colors or any other color. If you get a sample, we can start to matching it. We have a certain size. We have standard size is 1.23 meters, but we have as well the possibility to cut it in 20 centimeter small rolls. For example, if you want to do only frames. And of course, it has the fire certification. I don't know, Jennifer, should we take questions now or at the end? Because I've seen somebody has raised his hand.
Whatever you really think, you can just take it now if you want.
Yeah. So I forgot the name.
I think it was Paul.
No. Okay, we can take it at the end. We have it at the end.
His name is Paul Foley. Paul Foley is his name. Paul, if you're on speak, do you want to ask a question? Continue then, Sandra.
Okay, so then we can go to the next slide. Yeah, this is again a quite you get it's more for the summary for later on. So what is really is what our main advantage and knowledge is as well. We are a self-adhesive manufacturer, so our knowledge is really the adhesive. And when we develop the facade film, knowing that you have very different and very difficult substrates, we wanted to apply to, of course, the adhesive is the key technology we had here from, we have added here our best adhesive for such kind of substrates, so that we really can be sure that the application will stay, and we can commit to what we are producing here. It is a PVC. It has some kind of conformability, so it can be as well applied into this microstructured panel up to a certain depth. So if you have this slightly curved surfaces, the film can be put into these surfaces as well. So this is because it's a cast film, called. So the cast film is really able to conform to different shapes. And I think this is the knowledge we have out of the graphics business. And here we combined really both the need for such kind of surfaces to the perfect fit for a building. Next. As mentioned already during the meetings, we have two different types of films. We have the 50 microns and the 100 microns. The 50 microns is more really for what I just mentioned, conformable surfaces. It's thinner, it can be conformed more as well for the frames. You can put it more into the shapes and into the areas you have at a frame. And the 100 microns with an easy apply is more for big claddings. If you work in height, sometimes there's wind and it's quite difficult, and you have 2 or more meter long pieces to be applied. And there are certain thicknesses much helpful for the installer, which we know. In a nutshell, this is what we have here is really the different two different micron thicknesses, and it's a one layer, so it's really not a multi-layer, which might be delaminate in between the layers for that sand. It is very good conformable. We can give up to 100, 100 years would be great. 10 years warranty, warranted durability. It is a permanent adhesive. You don't need to primer it to get the adhesion, but we come later on to substrates, and there might be, depending on the substrate, sometimes a primer needed, but not in general. We have, of course, the fire certification, which is important. We can make color matches from 100 microns on, 100 linear meters on. Different widths are available, and as well the easy apply technology, which is more important for the applicator later on. You want to have the solution. We can conform to curved and irregular surfaces to a certain extent. It is very fast and clean, and I think this is the key advantage we have compared to paint, for example. You have a minimal disruption and downtime for a building, because you can do it sometimes, like for shops, sometimes you can do it at the weekend, overnight. You can just quickly do a refit for a shopping place, and on Monday when they open up, you have a complete refit. So this is something you can do, you can't do with paint. And then you have, as well as mentioned, you can have custom and branded color, which really can be unique for example, a car dealer or a brand owner. You can really do some color matches, and it's very efficient. You can, when it's pre-cut, you can even really efficiently use the material size, the roll width out of it. Next. This is just, I think I mentioned it already, you can do color matches. It's very convenient. You send in a sample, or you request just the color tone number, and then we have a lab which is simulating and creating the color. You get it to approve. If it's just a special color, for example, you send in a sample, you get a sample back to sign it off, and then we can do a color match. If it's a RAL color, I think we can ask a sign off as well, or we really match to the color, the RAL swatch, and then it's possible in different shapes. That's next. Substrates, and I think this is interesting, because this is the key point. Where can you use facade film and where not? So what is needed to have facade film applied is really smooth surface, like HPL, PVC, plastic, or aluminium substrates. If it's a bare aluminium, of course, this needs to be treated, because otherwise it's a difficulties. Flat or curved surfaces, and it should always be applied over a perfect or a clean, so if there are irregularities or some defects, this needs to be repaired before, because if you just laminate over, you will still see it. So it's not filling a gap, for example, or a hole. So this needs to be filled before. It is not suitable for absorbent material, because there you need maybe to have a primer or something pre-applied if it's possible. Bare aluminium needs to be treated similar to paint. Bare aluminium is not possible to use. Wood or active or living material is as well an issue, because there you have humidity and shrinkage and enlargement added as well. Rough surfaces and poorly adhering paint layers, for example, latex or silicone paints, they reduce the adhesion, and then you cannot do an application. This needs to be removed if you want to do it. Or if it's a really 3D shape, then you cannot use the facade film. You could use wrapping films or something, but they have not the same stability or durability as a facade film. Their facade film is not possible to be used. And the best recommendation is, and what we do usually recommend in general, if you have surface, you are not clear, you are not sure, is do a test application in an area, and we are happy to support, and as well the team of our customers here, happy to support to do test applications to see if it's the right fit of the product, to be sure that when you do the job that it's done properly. And this is just to talk about what alternatives are usually in the market used, and what is the advantage to use our material. Of course, when you talk about painting, you have Very often you need a sanding, you need primering, you need waiting time. It is very sensitive. You have the drying involved. If you work outside, it's quite difficult. Very often you need to use multiple layers of paint. You have a less durability. Many paints have around 5 years durability. We have up to 10 years durability, and we work in one layer. Of course, you need to sometimes do a preparation and cleaning. This is definitely the case, but it's much different to painting itself. If you talk about electrolytic spray, it's not my profession, but it's really very difficult. You have unweighed aluminium, it's quite hard. Sometimes you need to do it, you have to, of course, do it after working hours because you work with solvents and with moisture sensitive areas, especially if you go into buildings with, for example, food stores or something. Everything needs to be taken off. It's very dangerous. You need to make sure that everything is afterwards clean again before you can reuse the buildings. Inferior film systems is a little bit more difficult than our complete system. It is as well in one layer solution, but you have a risk that the adhesion is less. You get some curling, and then you have some solution for a short period of time, but it doesn't last. Roll painting is always critical because you have the irregularities of your surface are just added on top of the paint. You have sometimes chalking or limited elasticity, which is different to our film. It is very flexible. Air entrapments during painting is as well a point. Of course, you can have air entrapments as well during applying a self-adhesive film, and that's why we work with professionals. They know how to do it. If I would do it, you might get air entrapments, but that's why we give it to the perfect installers who can do it perfectly. And you need to sand each layer, and we have a one-layer solution, so you go off quite fast with your job. If you have, of course, wax, Teflon, or nano coating, it's very sensitive for moisture and drying. You have a limited durability time, and sometimes you get this white surface or cracking of the surface. And this with the self-adhesive film, it stays flexible. And we have even buildings which are longer applied than we give our durability, and it still looks good because the flexibility is still there and the product is still confirming. And I think this was my last slide on the technical part. We could leave the questions to the end, but if you have no questions, we can even ask them, or I can try to answer them now, if I'm not wrong. Huh? And otherwise, I think I pass over to the next speaker, huh? Or Jennifer, should you do?
Sure. So if you're finished, Sandra, then we'll move to Martin Kelly, Sales and Commercial Director at Universal Graphics. Over to you, Martin.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Sandra. Great presentation. As you know, I'm Martin Kelly, Sales and Commercial Director for Universal Graphics. Some of you listening and watching in may know of us. We're Ireland's leading branding company and have been in operation for well over 25 years, approaching 30 now. We specialise in vehicle wraps, furniture wraps, internal workspace branding and external building facade wraps. And why do we mention vehicle wraps and furniture wraps? It really is, it's the intricacy, get the word out, that's involved in a vehicle with all the crevices, especially the newer vehicles that are on the market. So when you move into facade wraps, they're not as intricate, but it's the way we approach everything in the same direction. If you can wrap some of these intricate vehicles, then you can, wrap onto buildings. I'm not giving that away for the competition, but it speaks for itself. Why are we so good at what we do? We've been working very, very closely with Inside Out Solutions and Avery Dennison for many, many years. We're an accredited installer. And what does that mean? An accredited installer is somebody that jumps through hoops to get that accreditation. We have ongoing training where we send guys across to Holland, and it's not a jolly for them. They come back with certificates. They enjoy the training. And it's learning the new technologies. I've been installing window films and vinyls for approaching 30 years. And when I look back, even over the last 10 years, how installation methods have changed to make our job leaner, quicker, cleaner, and more proficient. If we don't keep updating our training with the manufacturers, then you get left behind. So we're constantly making sure our guys are on top of their game, and girls, I must admit. Adapting to the environment and changes and challenges are there as well. Obviously, health and safety is a major feature on where we're going. So, Jennifer, if you can move on to the next slide, that'd be good. How do we operate, and why are we unique in what we do? No two buildings are the same. The internal workings of the building, the external environment of the building is not the same. The substrate assessment is critical to ensuring that we get the right material for the right job. So again, we work closely with Inside Out Solutions. We look at the products that are involved. We go out and we conduct a very in-depth site survey. We recommend the material type that's acceptable to the substrate. And we address key logistical questions as well. We've worked in everywhere from hospitals to hotels to factories. And again, I keep saying it and have to emphasize it, everything is different. So we hand hold the client and we walk them through the project beforehand. We work very closely with them during the installation as well. We break installations down into manageable elements. And what do we mean by that? Well, I think there's a good example of the Carlton Hotel that we've seen on the previous slides. We can't just put a boom lift up and go up to a window of a hotel and start installing window film installing wrap. We're conscious of the customer's privacy. So we go through a whole stand-down process and work closely with the hotel, what rooms are available, what rooms are free before we move on. So there's a whole plan of action put in. And why do we do that? It makes the customer's journey easier. And that's why we do it. But it's also good for ourselves. It gives us some very good pre-planning that we know that we will have 10 rooms completed by 12 o'clock midday. We know there's a function on in certain rooms. We can't go near that. So it means we never have a stand down, that we constantly know where the free available spaces are that we can work in. The ongoing communication is key. That's not just key with the customer, but it's key with the supplier too. And Avery Dennison is fantastic with its on-time deliveries. So we know if we're moving into a large installation, we've got free flowing of material at all times that are coming through. Handling unforeseen issues, again, it comes with experience. If you're communicating with a customer and you see something is wrong, you don't bypass it. You identify it, you work with the client, you work with the supplier, and you solve the problem. Everything is solvable if we all work together. If you bypass it, nobody will notice that. It will come back to haunt you, and we don't do that. We ensure that everything is addressed there and then. And going on then to our own procedure, our policy that we've had for many, many years. We deal with many construction companies, and we all hate the word snag. A snag at the end of a job is not what anybody wants to hear, but you will always get snags. But we tend to snag as we go. It's hammered into our installers. If you wouldn't accept it yourself on your own house, on your own vehicle, don't accept it. Take it off and reapply it. That's the only way that we work. There's no better way to work. And we find then at the end of 99.9% of jobs that we complete, we very rarely get a snag because everything is pre-snagged and worked with as we go. We ensure that everything meets the highest standards possible. That's why we've been around for so long. 40 parts removed and replaced, as I said, straight away. And it minimises the cost and time frame that you're on a contract. So that's really everything from me. here to answer any questions that you may have. So I'll pass you back to Ian. Thanks, Ian.
Thanks again, Martin. Very good. All right. So if anyone does have a question, please raise your hand or ask away.
We have a question actually in the chat, and I think Sandra will be the perfect one to answer that. Or if Bob himself wants to ask the question, you can unmute yourself and feel free to ask.
Maybe read the question, Jen.
Yeah, sure. So the question asks, how does it compare in cost to another Avery cast films?
Good that I'm a salesman. Mike, can you?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's one that is not simple to answer because obviously we have a lot of cast products. If you're looking at our vehicle livery with a Supreme Wrap film, we have digital cast products which you print yourselves. With this particular product, we have different versions. So we've a standard film, which is a stockable item, or standard color, sorry. Or we have a color match, which is a different version. We also have an easy apply version as well. So that would be great here just to give you a price a square meter or a price for an application. We also base it on the size of the application and the type of application as well. So if you're looking for a ballpark figure, the products I guess are, I don't know what you're comparing it to.
I think probably the easiest way of saying it is it's comparable to high-end cast films.
Yes,
yes.
Yeah. Yes, but you know, we'll do for an assessment of cost. You know, we need to look at the full application, whether or not it's color match, and as I mentioned, whether or not you want to easy apply adhesive or what type of product. But that's commercially the answer.
Okay, is there anything else in the chat room there, Jen?
No, not in the chat, but if anyone else have a question, please feel free.
But this leads me to an idea, and at least a comment to raise is talking about not maybe a different cast film, but sometimes you see customers applying not a facade film for similar application. And I think this is a risky thing to do, because our films, which are applied sometimes on facades, don't perform as they should. And this gives the wrong impression because they are not made for it. And therefore, we really focused for facade film on these kind of applications. But of course, we see sometimes somebody using a lower end film, and not talking about a cast film, even lower polymeric or different types of products. Because of price, they apply it, but this is not worth, because after a very short period of time, they have the issue that they need to remove it, they need to clean it off, and the savings they might have had don't pay back. Yeah. Just as a side note, just because it came to my head.
Okay, so look, if anyone else has a question, or I'll just wrap up, as it's a late and wet and rainy day and evening. I'd like to thank Sandra and Martin for their contribution. Well done, guys. A brief recap. We're looking to introduce a new concept to wrap buildings, which offers a sustainable message, long-term durability, color matching. It is fast, clean, and easy to maintain. Here, we're looking to introduce it to the market via a certified installer process. This allows proper professional warranties to apply to any project. I'd just like to remind everyone that we have a stand at the RIA conference, which is taking place October 9th and 10th. The venue is the RDS Dublin, and our stand number is D20. And here you can view the physical product and see live demonstrations of the application. Just to remind you, we will forward a recording of this webinar to all registered attendees. Please reach out to us if you have any further questions. Also, please contact us if you would like to have one-to-one consultation regarding the product, or talk through specific projects that you may have, or simply to visit our showroom. We have just launched a new website for Inside Out Solutions, where you will find more detail on facade and a lot more regarding the wider product and solutions that we offer. Finally, our staff are here to support you, so don't hesitate to contact us if you have any further questions. And it just remains for me to thank you very much for making the effort to attend. Thank you, and thank the speakers.